Next slide. What's a lunar eclipse? So that's when the Earth is in between the Sun and the Moon. Next slide. How often does a lunar eclipse occur? Again, also about 2 to 4 times per year. So that's when the Moon passes through some portion of the Earth's penumbral or umbral shadows, and one of these 3 types of eclipses occur. And when an eclipse of the Moon takes place, everyone on the night side of the Earth at nighttime can actually see this lunar eclipse. Next slide. So what does Hazrat Masih-e-Maud say in his books? He writes that Dar-e-Qutni has recorded that Imam Muhammad bin Ali has narrated that there are 2 signs for our Mahdi which have never appeared before. That is, never occurred for any other person since the creation of the earth and the heavens. And these are that the moon will begin to be eclipsed in the beginning of the night in Ramzan, and the sun will be eclipsed in the remaining half of the month. Next slide. So, again, looking at what are the chances of this eclipse, a solar eclipse happening and a lunar eclipse happening in the same month of Ramadan, and specifically during those dates. Next slide. So, between the time of the Holy Prophet ﷺ and let's say 2000 AD, so about 1400 years, there's a total of 109 times in which both the lunar and solar eclipses occurred in the month of Ramadan over some part of the earth. So a lot of this research comes, there was a professor in India who looked at when these eclipses occurred, when they occurred, where they occurred. So all this research that I'm going to talk to you about comes from this professor in India. Next slide. Go back one. So out of these 109 eclipses that occurred, only 7 of these eclipses were visible in Qadian. Next slide. And out of all of these solar lunar eclipses, there was only 1 year in these 1400 years where the moon began to eclipse in the beginning of Ramadan, or within the stated hadith, and we'll talk more about that, and the sun eclipsed at the end of the month. There was only 1 year in which this occurred. Next slide. So this was in 1894. Next slide. So the promised Messiah specifically claimed to be the promised Messiah and Mahdi, foretold by the Holy Prophet ﷺ 3 years before this solar and lunar eclipse occurred. So the claim that Masih-e-Maud talks about a lot is that if he claimed to be the Messiah and Mahdi after this eclipse occurred, anybody could do that, right? Anybody could see the solar lunar eclipse, the month of Ramadan, get up and say, I'm the Messiah and Mahdi. But Prophet specifically states in his books that this happened after he claimed to be the Messiah. So that in itself is the prophecy. Next slide. So, talking a little bit about the hadith, we'll talk a little bit about the allegations that people say as to why this hadith isn't true, or what the allegations are of this prophecy. So one of the specific allegations is that the hadith of Dar-e-Qutni regarding these signs is not authentic. It's a common allegation if you talk to non-Ahmadis, you tell them about this prophecy, that's the first thing to say, it's not authentic. If it doesn't agree with what they want to say, it's not authentic. So next slide. So first of all, this hadith goes along with what the Quran talks about and states. So the root of this prophecy lies in the Holy Quran, since the eclipses of the moon and the sun are mentioned as important signs of the approach of resurrection in the Holy Quran. And the time of the advent after the promised Messiah is also, advent of the spiritual reformer is also the latter age. So the Holy Quran specifically talks about the eclipse, in that it says that he asks, when will the day of resurrection, when the eye is dazzled and the moon is eclipsed and the sun and the moon are brought together. On that day man will say, whither to escape. So clearly the signs of the solar lunar eclipse are important they're mentioned in the Holy Quran. Next slide. The other thing is that these eclipses are not only mentioned in this hadith, but in many collections of hadiths that both the Sunni and Shia sects agree with. Eminent Muslim scholars have mentioned these signs in their books. So this is not the first time this has been mentioned. Books of other religions have also mentioned eclipses as a sign of this promised divine reformer. So if you look at other books of the Zoroastrians, of the Hindus, they also talk about Hindus. They talk about the eclipses of the sun and the moon. Next slide. The other allegation that is commonly talked about is that the hadith has been misinterpreted. So the words first and middle, which are stated in the hadith, do not signify the 13th and the 28th, but instead they signify the 1st of Ramadan and the 15th of Ramadan. Next slide. So if you look at the laws of science, the laws of nature, a lunar eclipse can really only occur at full moon. So it's simply not possible for this lunar eclipse to occur on the 1st of Ramadan. Right, the 1st of Ramadan is when we see the little crescent of the moon. So for a lunar eclipse to occur at that time just simply does not make any sense. The solar eclipse has to occur when the moon cannot be seen at all. So it has to be occurred on the 27th, 28th, or 29th of the month. So if you look at the hadith a little closely, it says that the lunar eclipse will occur at the beginning. So let's say the eclipse will occur on the 13th of the month. And the second part of the solar eclipse will occur in the middle of these days, so which would be the 28th of the days. So if someone talks to you about this allegation, the answer is pretty clear. Next slide. It's a cool story, but it needs more science. So it doesn't make any sense. The next slide. So the other thing is that other allegation that is commonly mentioned is that the eclipses have also occurred on the 13th and 28th of Ramadan at other times for other claimants to Mahdi. Next slide. So the Prophet Messiah specifically talks about this, and he says that the hadith does not imply that before the advent of Mahdi there would be eclipses of the moon and the sun in the month of Ramadan, because in that case it was possible that after seeing the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse in the month of Ramadan, any impostor could claim to be the promised Messiah, and the matter would become ambiguous since it is easy to claim afterwards. If after the eclipses there are many claimants, it is clear that the eclipses cannot testify anyone. So again, I mentioned earlier that this prophecy happened 3 years, this sign happened 3 years after the promised Messiah claimed to be the Messiah in Mahdi. Next slide. This is a busy slide. There's a lot on here, but basically it goes through some of the people who may have claimed to be Mahdi and whether or not there was a solar lunar eclipse in the month of Ramadan during their advent or during their time. So one of them is Salih bin Tarif, claimed to be Mahdi in 125 after Hijrah. And during this time there were some eclipses, but none of these were the solar eclipse visible from Morocco, which was where he was. Mirza Ali Muhammad Bab claimed to be Mahdi in 1264 after Hijrah and was killed in 1266. During this time there was neither lunar or solar eclipse in any part of the world. Hussein Ali Baha'u'llah did not claim to be Mahdi. He claimed to be a manifestation of God in 1867. However, again, during his time, there were no times where both the solar and lunar eclipse were visible in Iran during his lifetime. Muhammad Ahmad of Sudan claimed to be Mahdi in 1298 after Hijrah, and neither lunar nor solar eclipse occurred. Saying Dr. Alexander Dowie did not claim to be Mahdi, but he was an enemy of Islam. But again, same thing with him. Next slide. So I just wanted to end with saying that if you look at what the Quran says, that He, Allah, is the knower of the unseen, and He reveals not His secrets to anyone, except to him whom He chooses, namely a messenger of His. So this prophecy, remarkable prophecy of the signs of the eclipses and its fulfillment in our age, bear eloquent testimony to the greatness of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And may Allah Ta'ala guide us to the right path.
Jazakumullah. Jazakumullah Sunzara. Now I'm going to have a program from the Hajna side. They should get ready. That will be an hazm in the form of chorus by a group of Nasra. They should get ready. Now we'll have a speech about the prophecy about plague by Usman Tulasa.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Usman Abdullah, and today I will share with you some highlights of the amazing prophecy the Prophet ﷺ received. This prophecy served to firmly establish the truthfulness of the Prophet ﷺ. This prophecy was about the plague. On February 6, 1898, Prophet ﷺ saw in a vision about a plague that would wipe out the population of Punjab, India. He stated about the vision, "Angels of God are planting black trees in different places on Punjab. These plants are very ugly, black, frightening, and stunted." I asked the person planting these trees, "What kind of trees are these?" He replied that these were plague trees, which would spread in the country very shortly. He told the public about the disease that would strike Punjab in the coming future. Because such a disease as a plague was never cited in the history of Punjab, he was ridiculed and bullied his opponents. When the plague struck Punjab, the unsuspecting citizens were shocked and havoc ensued. With 30 to 40,000 people dying every week, the streets were emptied within mere months. During the plague, the Prophet ﷺ announced to all of his followers that they would be saved after receiving a prophecy on October 5th, 1902. "I will protect all those who are within the periphery of your house." The British government had issued a statewide emergency, and they were offering vaccines against the plague, but the Prophet ﷺ forbade all of his followers from getting vaccinated. Unsurprisingly, the Ahmadis remained healthy after the advent of the plague. Within the Ahmadi community, there were no casualties. The importance of this prophecy is shown by the fact that it stayed true, and there was evidence of Allah shown to disbelievers. This prophecy showed the entire world, the Ahmadi Muslim community, the true path to God, and is not a false religion. The prophecy had a positive impact on right-minded people. Many of the people turned toward our faith and joined our community. May Allah shower His choicest blessings upon the Prophet ﷺ and make us from among His steadfast followers. Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah. Jazakumullah Sunzara, and I hope now the Nasrat are ready. We are waiting for them now.
Assalamu alaikum. Today I'm going to be presenting the translation of the Nazm by the promised Messiah alayhi salam. Help and succor from the Lord God never does come for people with dirty minds. On the other hand, He never allows His righteous servants to be ruined and destroyed. They alone come to stand close to Him, who lose themselves in devotion to the Lord, while those who are proud, overbearing, from an exaggerated sense of self-esteem, they never can find the way to His august presence. The only recourse possible now is that you pray to Him, beseeching He draws you close to Himself. Seek alone the helping hand that is His. As for the scaling ladder, उसके मुकर्रब हैं जो अपना आप खोते हैं नहीं राह उसकी आली बारगाह तक खुद पसंदों को यही तदबीर है प्यारों के मांगो खुद से कुर्बत को उसी के हाथ को ढूंढो जला दो सब कमंदों को कभी नुसरत नहीं मिलती तेरे मौला से गंदों को जज़ाकल्लाह।
Jazakumullah Khair. Now we have a speech, Childhood of Promised Messiah alayhi salam by Rafia Ahmad and Sabu Abdullah, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Abu Abdullah, and today Rafi and I would like to tell you all something about the childhood of the promised Messiah alayhi salam. All Ahmadi Muslim children know about the promised Messiah alayhi salam, peace be upon him, and love him very much. His name was Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and he was a very good, kind, and truthful person. He was in every way an excellent man. Allah especially liked him because of his good qualities. He even displayed these good qualities as a young child. That is why Allah Almighty made him a prophet. From early childhood, one could see that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was very special. He was born in Gadian, India, on a Friday morning on February 13th, 1835. His father's name was Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Murtaza, and his mother's name was Tarab Bibi. Everyone was very happy at his birth and were all struck by the heavenly light that seemed to glow from him. Even as a young child, little Ahmed had a great love of God. He once asked a girl playmate of his to pray for him that he might be granted the grace of prayer. How remarkable! Even at such a young age, he was so pure and desired the nearness of Allah. In the time of the promised Messiah alayhi salam, there were no schools and most children did not get an education. But Ahmed's father did get a teacher for him when he was about 6 or 7 years of age. He was taught the Holy Quran and some Persian and Arabic. But this was a very simple education, not at all like all the subjects and things you learn today in school. Basically, he just learned reading and writing. Little Ahmed was always very respectful to all his teachers. He loved to study and spent most of his time in the mosque reading the Holy Quran. He did not like worldly things, not even sports or games, even though he could swim or ride. When he was a young boy, many people kept and used weapons such as swords, guns, and bows. But Ahmed never liked such warlike sports and never participated in them. You can already see what a gentle and loving spirit he had.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Rafi and I will continue about the holy religion of Promised Messiah Salatu Islam. As Ahmad grew up, he continued to show that he was a truthful and good person. Everyone was impressed with his pure and good nature. He always preferred religion and spiritual things of the world, and his real happiness was found in prayer and reading the Holy Quran. He loved the God and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be on him, very much, and he always defended Islam against any attack. Allah blessed him with a special understanding of the Holy Quran and gave him a great spiritual knowledge. The same young boy who had a very basic and simple education grew up to impress others with his deep knowledge and understanding. Allah Almighty also gave him
special knowledge of Arabic language, and his Arabic vocabulary grew 40,000 words in a single night. What a miracle! His knowledge of Arabic grew so much that he even wrote books in Arabic that were so outstanding no one could match them, even the Arabs natives. Just think about how much Allah loved the promised Messiah. He comforted the promised Messiah when he was worried, provided for his every need, protected him from his enemies, spoke to him through dreams, visions, and words, revealed to him things that were going to happen, and blessed his efforts with success. We are so lucky that the promised Messiah was so good and that Allah Almighty loves us very much, and that is why He sent the promised Messiah. He wanted us to follow the Quran and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, so He sent the promised Messiah to guide us and to show us that Islam is a true religion. Aren't we lucky to be Ahmadi Muslims? Aren't we lucky to be the followers of the promised Messiah and to share in Allah's blessings? Indeed, we are. May Allah enable us to follow the teachings of the promised Messiah Islam till the end of the earth. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. The next speech is about a prophecy about Afghan martyr by Maha Malak, if he's ready.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am presenting the promised Messiah's prophecy of the Afghan martyrs. The martyrdom of Sahibzada Sayyid Abdul Latif and Maulvi Abdul Rahman of Afghanistan, and the event was followed. Hazrat Mirza Sahib received a revelation. 2 goats will be slaughtered. Everyone who lives here will meet this end. The word shaitan, 2 goats, can be symbol for women or for loyal and obedient subjects. So much is clear from the generally accepted meaning of dream symbols. If we take the word to be woman, then the sentence does not make sense. Women are not slaughtered. It is men who are slaughtered. Shaitan, goats, therefore, means 2 men distinguished for their loyalty to the king and for their spirited service. The revelation says that 2 loyal and innocent servants of a king, not guilty of any offense against the state, and certainly not deserving the death penalty, will be put to death. The second part of the revelation, and all those who live on this earth must meet their end, point to death and destruction which will follow the killing of the innocent pair. The revelation does not mention the country in which the killings will take place, but the words used to make it clear that the prophecy relates not to a peaceful country, but to a country in which law-abiding citizens can be murdered to appease the excited masses. The murdered persons are the prophet's own followers. Otherwise, the allusion to 2 victims in the prophecy has little point. The murders were to be unjust and wrong, not the result of any political crime, and because of these unjust murders, general destruction was to overtake the country in which the murders were due to take place. These points make the prophecy very different from ordinary prophecies. If the name of the country has been omitted, this does not make the prophecy less clear. The points which a prophecy entails proves its importance. They cannot synchronize by accident. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Now we have one last speaker from our children. It's going to be Tawseek Malak. He's going to talk about prophecy about Lekram. Is he well? And that will be the last one of our speeches.
Respected Chair and all the participants. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Today, the topic of my speech is Death of Lekram, a sign for the people of India. I present another prophecy, one of many which prove the truth of Islam to the people of India. The circumstances of the prophecy are that late in the last century, a new Hindu sect called Arya-Samaj came into existence. Seeing the low condition of Islam in our time, this sect conceived a bold plan to convert Muslims to Hindu religion. To this end, Arya-Samaj writers began to publish the most scurrilous attacks on Islam. The most daring of these leaders and writers was one Lekram. In the course of several exchanges, Hazrat Mirza Sahib tried to explain to this Arya leader the truth of Islam, but no avail. Lekram stuck to his anti-Islam ideas and schemes. He produced the most distorted translations of passages from the Holy Quran. Common decency found it difficult even to read those translations. He held the most foul views about the Holy Prophet and the Holy Quran. The best of mankind, he thought, the worst of mankind, the best book in the world, the worst. A disease I cannot stand alight. This was the case with Lekram. The controversy with him began to mount. Lekram went further and further in his abuse of Holy Prophet and ridicule of Hazrat Mirza Sahib. He also became impatient for a sign. Hazrat Mirza Sahib prayed to God and learned that his man's end was near. Before publishing this prophecy, Hazrat Mirza Sahib offered to withhold publication of the prophecy if Lekram had any objections. But Lekram said he had nothing to fear from such prophecies. The revelation received at first was general. No time limit had been set for Lekram's end. Lekram insisted on a time limit. Hazrat Mirza Sahib therefore withheld publication of the prophecy until he had more knowledge from God. Eventually, he learned that Lekram was due to meet a fatal calamity within 6 years, counting from February 20th, 1893. On receiving this assurance, Hazrat Mirza Sahib published the prophecy. He added to it an Arabic revelation relating to Lekram, a miserable, half-dead calf, nothing awaits it but disgrace and destruction. Declaring his prophecy and this revelation, Hazrat Mirza Sahib wrote, "If within 6 years from today, February 20th, 1893, this man does not meet with punishment from God, which is unusual, which is impresses in all sundry with fear out of the Lord, let everybody think that I'm not from God." In the end, I will end my speech on a verse from Hazrat Mirza Sahib. जो खुदा का है उसे ललकारना अच्छा नहीं, जो खुदा का है उसे ललकारना अच्छा नहीं, ऐ मेरे बदखुआ करना होश करके मुझ पे वाह।
We have two more speakers, so inshallah 3 more speakers will listen them in our general body meeting. Prophecy about Tullah Akam and Advain Islam by Suhail Malik Sahib and Love for Rasulullah, speech by Zishan Ahmad. Now we're going to have a 15 minutes program about our very special Jeopardy quiz 2018. Our questions have to take over and try to do whatever we can in 15 minutes. Jazakallah.
Talib, can you get the file assembled? Assalamu alaikum. We're about to start our usual Masih-e-Maud Jeopardy program. Nasrat, please assemble around with a mic and let us know when you can see the screen and you're all set to go.
We're ready.
Or who's the spokesperson here? Okay, so without any further delay, here we go. By the way, last time Nasrat had won by a huge margin, 3,100 versus Atfal of 925. So we will give Atfal a chance to come back this time, starting with them. As far as the lifelines, real quick, we'll make it simple. There will be no penalty for you asking the audience. Just get the right answer, please.
Oh, well, let's do 500.
Just do everything 500.
Sounds like they have a strategy here. All right, Asfal, please select your category and point value.
Events 500.
Events for 500. All right, here we go. The question is, locate the country and the village where the promised Messiah Islam's advent took place. Where is Qadian on this map? You're going to see a map in just a second. You will get half the points for locating the correct country on the map. And then half the points for locating Qadian on the following map. So here we go. Which country is it? I would recommend one of you, the spokesperson, please just stand up and come point at it. And if you need advice from your teammates, go ahead. 15 seconds. The blue one? Okay, that is correct. Barakallahu lakum. You got half the points. Now, come back.
C.
Or I guess this you can answer from there too. Which letter designates the location of Qadian in India?
C.
You sure about it? It's half the point, 250 points.
C.
C, alright. That is correct. Barakallahu lakum. The C has been replaced with a Q. C for Qadian. Okay, moving on. Nasrat, please select your category and point value.
They're going to go to 550.
Signs and prophecies. 350.
Signs and prophecies, 350. Oh, by the way, just as a reminder, if you do get the answer wrong, it is minus points for you. And Usman here is keeping track of the score. So, signs and prophecies for 350. Alright, listen. Excuse me, please, everyone, pay attention. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. These things must happen, but the end is still to come. Where is this prophecy found? You have the choice of the Quran, Hadith, revelation received by the promised Messiah al-Islam, the Bible, or none of these. None of the above. Which one? 15 seconds on the clock.
Right answer. Why are you not saying an answer? Otherwise they do 5. They're forgetting.
5 seconds.
D, Bible.
D, Bible. That is correct. Barakallahu lakum. Alright, Atfal, select your category.
Khutbah 550.
Khutbah 550, mashallah. By the way, that's not the highest point value on the board. It happens to be 600. It's just out of place.
Why there? What?
I was pressed for time. Had to get this done. All right, so here it is in the khutbah, and I hope all of you listened to the khutbah from 2 days ago. So in the khutbah from 2 days ago, Hazur, reading from the writings of the promised Messiah al-Islam, told a story supposed to be containing a mirror. What was the story? And what did he relate it to? By the way, you guys can consult with anyone, but the answer has to come from the spokesperson. That's the only answer I'm taking.
There were दो थे या एक ही था? The master said there was one, yeah. So the master said that there's one mirror, and the
5 seconds.
servant says no, there are two mirrors, and the master said then go and break one of the mirrors and bring out the one that's not broken.
Alright, time, I need an answer.
The master said there's one
The
mirror,
master said that there's one mirror. The servant says that there are two.
and the master said go back.
The master
Okay.
said go back.
For time constraint, we will take that answer and move on to the explanation. And by the way, I would take a minute to read this to you. This is worth it if you haven't listened to the khutbah. So, and this is a brief synopsis. It's not exact translation. A boss, the master, I like to call her boss. It makes more sense for the kids. The boss asks his helper to bring a mirror from a certain place. This helper, being cross-eyed or having poor vision, returns to ask which one. There are two mirrors. The boss tells him that there is only one mirror, but the helper insists that he is right. So the boss tells him, go break one of the mirrors. After breaking, the helper realizes that he was in error, that there really was only one mirror. So this is a story that the promised Messiah al-Islam mentioned in one of his writings, and Hazur, reading further from his writing, says that the promised Messiah draws a parallel from this story with the current condition of the opposing ulama. And how is it? How these mullahs claim that there are numerous ahadith, there are many hadith that go against the claim of the promised Messiah al-Islam, but with the passage of time, people will mock and laugh at the stupidity of these ulama, of these mullahs. Because the same hadith that they claim goes against the promised Messiah, it actually supports the claim of the promised Messiah. So they have to, I guess, break the mirror to really find out. Nasrat, please select your category.
Miscellaneous 600.
Miscellaneous 600. Here we go. Now this one, I have to pull out my paper for this one. I have a cheat sheet for it. Here we go. Name any 5 conditions of bath in any order. You have 10 conditions of bath. If you get the first 5 right, then you'll get a chance to get the bonus points too. So go ahead. And please be quick. I have a list here in front of me which I'm going to check off as you tell me. You don't have to go in order. 5 seconds, I need to answer.
I'm hoping to get one more.
Shirk.
Okay, shirk, that's 1.
Falsehood.
Falsehood.
Adultery.
Adultery. Okay, fornication and adultery. Okay.
5 daily prayers.
Okay, hold on. Let me check it off my list. Where did I put it? Yeah, here. Okay.
From here, we can just read it.
Yes.
Or if you read the.
I hope you're not Googling it.
Don't Google it unless you'll be cheating.
Yeah, that's right. It will be cheating if you're Googling. Please continue.
Don't Google it. Let's go get time out. We can't get any tea.
I need an answer quick.
Maybe they're using
नासानी जोशों को अपनी ऊपर गालब नहीं आती
Acha?
नहीं आने देती.
Oh, great. Now please translate it for us. Tell us what it is.
So like the gist of it is
Yes, go ahead.
the gist of it is
Time's up. No, that's cheating.
worldly positions is like not to
Okay, so
yeah.
you're referring to the one about give up pride and be humble and cheerful and meek? Okay, we'll take that. Next.
It's like a
We said 5. Oh, you said 5.
I'm sorry, repeat it. I can't hear you.
Wait, do you want us to repeat the 5 conditions?
No. Did you give another answer?
Yeah, we gave you 5.
Alright, I took 4 down. Just give me one more so we'll count it as. Okay.
We put shirk,
Yes, I got that. Check that off.
5 daily prayers,
I got that.
falsehood, adultery.
Falsehood and adultery, that's, I believe, in the same condition. Condition number 2.
And we shall establish brotherhood
Okay.
with the Khalifa.
Alright, so you ended up giving me more than 5. I think we will skip the bonus one for now because of time. So they get the full 600 points. Atfal, select your next category.
Khutbah 500.
Khutbah 500. Alright, question. What was the closing message that Huzur gave at the end of this khutbah? It was the last message, before the last thing that he said.
Oh, not the last thing he said?
No, not the last thing, the last message that he gave.
Self-reflection.
5 seconds.
Self-reflection.
Self-reflection.
Tell me, what does it mean? What do you mean self-reflection? I know you heard it, but...
They're following the promised Messiah properly.
No, you can't say it.
They're following the promised.
On yourself that you're following Christ.
Okay, we'll take your answer and I will expound on it very briefly. Here we go, that's the brief explanation. Hazur said that while we have accepted the promised Messiah, our faith and our taqwa and our practical condition should be better than other Muslims. We should evaluate ourselves, that's self-reflection. We should evaluate ourselves by asking, are we fulfilling the requirements of our faith? There are many among us who do not pay any attention towards namaz, istighfar, and towards fulfilling the rights of others. Our opponents become sinful by not accepting the promised Messiah, and while we sin by not fulfilling our pledge. So, may Allah enable us to celebrate Masih-e-Maud Day, understanding the true essence, rather than doing it as a mere custom.
Ameen.
Ameen. Nasrat, please Select your category.
When Nasrat because they're Googling and they cheat. Not supposed to be
Khutbah for 450.
Khutbah for 450. Seems like you have someone there who has listened to the khutbah, I hope. There we go. In the khutbah from 2 days ago, what newspaper did Hazur announce at the end of this khutbah? It's not that easy. At the end of this khutbah, and relate its significance, such as during which Khilafat was it initially started? And how does the name of that newspaper relate to the promised Messiah al-Islam?
Al-Hakam.
Okay, that's partial. Please complete the answer. So, in which era was this started? I don't need an exact year or date or anything. Just give me a rough time frame. We have an uncle here suggesting second Khalifa, but the answer has to come from Nasrat. 5 seconds.
Second Khalifa, 1934.
Second Khalifa, 1934. I am so sorry. That is not correct. Here's the correct answer. Al-Hakam, yes, you got that right. That is the name of the newspaper. But it was started during the lifetime of Hazrat Masih-e-Maud al-Islam himself. He didn't start it, but it was started during his lifetime. And how does it relate?
Tell them miscellaneous has 400 and
Can you see my hand waving?
Yeah.
No, not. Nasrat?
you put my phone.
They don't have.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Alright, so select your category and point value.
Miscellaneous 400.
Miscellaneous 400. Question. a lengthy one too. The promised Messiah ﷺ writes about the outcome of a lecture he had written that is published as a book entitled The Philosophy of the Teaching of Islam. He likens the victory that Allah gave him and the effect of this lecture to a very famous victory that Allah showed another prophet. Who is this other prophet? And what was the incident? Do I have a one in there?
No.
So, no? Okay.
No, sorry.
Alright, so the choices are Prophet Musa ﷺ and the sorcerers that made the sticks appear like snakes, or Prophet Nuh ﷺ and the ark, or Prophet Yunus and the whale, or Rasulullah ﷺ and the battle of Badr.
A.
A. Barakallahu lakum, that is correct. I will not read the explanation because I read it last year too. And I'm glad you didn't mess up on this one. Please, Afal.
What do you want to put up for him?
Quick.
Events. It's 2 events.
400.
Khutbah 400.
Khutbah 400. Question. In the khutbah from 2 days ago, reading from the writings of the promised Messiah ﷺ, Hazur explained that our opponents are serving us and working for us. How is this possible? Please explain.
They publish stuff or say stuff against us, and it reminds people that we exist, and so people then look for us. You can say
So
our opponents.
So our opponents, they write stuff about us that's like negative, and it gives us publicity.
Barakallahu lakum. We will take that as the correct answer. So here it is. Their opposition is helping to fuel our progress. Free publicity. They are spreading our name, and as a result, many righteous souls that have been searching for the truth are finding out about the promised Messiah ﷺ and searching online to learn about his claims and teachings. Is this feedback coming from there? Okay. Nasrat, please step aside from where the speaker is. I think the feedback loop is coming from there. Okay. Nasrat, please select your categories.
Events 400.
Events 400. Question. The promised Messiah ﷺ was informed by Allah about the solar and lunar eclipse, and he had published this prophecy in Brahina Ahmadiyya, blank number of, I guess, something, blank time prior to their manifestation.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that really. After your speech, I'm kind of confused too. Although this I've been running for a couple of years, I think we'll have to recheck on it. Actually, Nasrat, select another question.
No.
Because Brahina हमें तो काफी पहले की publish हुई है.
Yeah, I think we will allow you to select another one.
It's 15 minutes up here.
So this is the last question they get then, because we started.
Okay, so the top said this will be the last 4 questions coming up. Nasrat, quickly, please.
Miscellaneous 350.
Miscellaneous 350. Question. Recite the first couplet of Al-Qasida by the promised Messiah. Quick, 5 seconds.
It has to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Just the first one.
Ya Rabbi salli ala nabiyyika daiman fi hadhihi dunya wa barsisani.
Barakallahu lakum. That's good. Atfal, select your category. Quick.
Khutbah 250.
Okay, khutbah 250. Question. In the khutbah from 2 days ago, Hazur read from the writings of the promised Messiah ﷺ. Quote, to deny me is not only my denial, but it is the denial of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For he who holds me to be a liar first considers God to have lied. God forbid. Such person will eventually have to reject blank part of the Quran. So, which part of the Quran or which portion of the Quran?
The whole.
The whole Quran. Barakallahu lakum. Okay, Nasrat, this is your last question.
Also, last question. one of us seems like one.
Revelations 300.
Revelations 300. The promised Messiah ﷺ wrote, God's word informed me that many calamities will occur and many disasters will descend on earth. Some during blank and some during blank.
Oh, wait.
Did they give an answer? So, what is it? A? Barakallahu lakum, that is correct. Atfal, your last question.
No, we started.
Oh, you started? Okay.
Yeah,
Then,
no, that should be it.
so should we give them one last or this is it? Okay. Jazakallah. So the score is Atfal 1700, Nasrat 1550. Very close. Barakallahu lakum.
I'm gonna get my own.
You can't eat for your size.
Please hurry up.
You take it?
Yes, please.
Oh. I'll give you two. Yeah, give it. They say the big guy gets you. Alhamdulillah, brother. How you doing?
Okay, Jazakallah. We have the seats now, so we can start the program.
Okay, I'll give it to another one. The young Ansar coming forward. Go ahead.
I'll do that.
Okay, I need to share. Who's going to share with us?
I'm good. I'm going to do this one.
Okay, Jazakallah, have a seat now. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First, it's my apology to our sisters because we have to interrupt the program almost an hour, and we tried to finish the program and we have to take off a couple of speeches. We'll have it inshallah in our next meeting. This was a special blessed day for us. We are celebrating this day that the Imam of the age came in this world. And we are the lucky one among all those believers, whether they are Christian, Jews or the Muslim, who accepted this Imam, which was prophesied by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we are the lucky one that we manifested. We have seen the second manifestation of Jesus Christ, which the Jews have been waiting for a long time, and the Christians. Jews are waiting for the old Messiah, and the Christians are waiting for the second coming of the Messiah. We, as Ahmadi Muslim, we have a special pride, and we are lucky. We should be thankful to Allah Almighty that we are born in this time, in this age, that we have accepted this special reformer who came close to the end of time. And he is the last one who is coming at this time to unite the mankind in general and Muslims specifically, because he's called the Imam al-Mahdi, the guided one, and the Messiah, fulfilling the second part of the prophecy, the second coming of Jesus. We have celebrated this day. I wish I had the more time and share with you about that Advent, its significance, and how we can convey the message to the other who have not joined us. The only message I can give at this time, we should move forward in our work of tabligh. Wherever we come across, convey the message. There are many souls who are waiting for that Messiah, but they have not been guided to the right direction. And there are some who are misguided, as Hazur mentioned in his khutbah 2 days ago, that they have seen and they have heard the Advent and they rejected that Messiah. Same way as the Jews rejected the Messiah at that time, and many Muslims are doing the same mistake, and they are rejecting this Messiah who came at this time for our guidance, for our unification, and his only message was that the relation between a human being and the God has go to such a low level. He came to re-establish the relationship between the human beings and Allah Almighty. That was his message. He came over here and united the mankind. Alhamdulillah that we conclude our jalsa. Inshallah in future I'll make sure we do not have any other program which come in between. It is a very unfortunate situation because we have to do the election, otherwise we'll have more time to electing our Shura delegates. And also we have a good news that by the grace of Allah, Usman and Hibat has been blessed with a son named Daniel Mahmoud Mirza. He is the first grandson of Dr. Khalil Malak Saab and first grandson of late Mahmoud Mirza Saab of Frankfurt. He was a very close friend of mine when I was in Rabwa at that time. He is also great grandson of late Mirza Abdul Sami Saab, who was station master in Rabwa, and late Abdul Rahman Salim Saab. We all know him. He stayed in Philadelphia Jamaat close to 25 years. Daniel is a part of Waqf scheme. Barakallahu lakum. His parents request your prayers for good health, spiritual upbringing. Jazakallah. Congratulations to Usman, to Hibat, and Dr. Khalil Saab and all members in the family. Lastly, in 5 minutes, we have 2 members who joined the Ahmadiyya. I know this short time and we do not get together very often, so I thought it is appropriate that we spend 5 minutes. There are 2 members who joined the Muslim community, and I request our Naib Sadr Sahab to come and announce their name, and we will join them.
Nair, come sit here, please.
One is Nair on the men's side, and Sister
Raven.
Sister Raven, she is on the ladies' side. Go ahead, Ahmed.
Give it to Mom.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. I would like to request on the ladies' side, if Sister Raven, if you would come forward to the front of the group so that everybody could be introduced to you, and if you would have a seat, and we're going to all partake and read the pledge of Bayat together. It's a great blessing. When we had our Masih-e-Maud day, Brother Ronaldo Muhammad, he signed his Bayat then. And now today, on the Promised Messiah Day, we have 2 who are joining in Bayat with the Promised Messiah. So this just makes this day that much more blessed for all of us, and that we are able to join also in the pledge of Bayat together. Now, if you are not a member of this community, and you do not want to join in the declaration of Bayat, you do not have to repeat my words, okay? So, but particularly, we do this for all new members. We come together, and we join together in the pledge of Bayat, and we all renew our Bayat together. So if that is not your desire, you do not have to follow with us, okay? For those people who are not members of the Jamaat. Again, we have Brother Nair McNeil on the men's side, and we have Sister Raven Lear on the ladies' side. They're both 20 years old. They'll be coming very soon. Birthday's coming up very soon. And I made sure that they both read the Bayat thoroughly and had the opportunity to ask any questions. And I told them, if you had any questions or anything about this Bayat, do not sign it. And they both read that thoroughly, and they have both signed. So please join with me and with them in stating the terms of Bayat. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hereby submit. You want to read that part, right? Start from Ashhadu, excuse me. Subhanallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship except Allah. He is one and has no partner. And I bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is his servant and messenger. I enter this day the Ahmadiyya Jamaat in Islam at the hand of Masroor Ahmed. I have firm faith that Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, is Khatam al-Nabiyyin, the seal of all the prophets. I also believe that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmed, peace be upon him, was the same Imam Mahdi and promised Messiah, whose advent was prophesied by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah, Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him.
Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him.
I promise that
I promise that
I will always try my best
I will always try my best
to abide by
to abide by
the 10 conditions of Bayat
the 10 conditions of Bayat
as prescribed by
as prescribed by
the promised Messiah.
the promised Messiah.
Peace be on him.
Peace be on him.
I will give precedence
I will give precedence
to my faith
to my faith
over all worldly objects.
over all worldly objects.
I will always remain loyal
I will always remain loyal
to the institution of
to the institution of
Khilafat and Ahmadiyya,
Khilafat and Ahmadiyya,
and will obey you
and will obey you
as Khalifatul Masih
as Khalifatul Masih
in everything good
in everything good
that you may require of me,
that you may require of me,
inshallah.
inshallah.
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
min kulli dhanbin
min kulli dhanbin
wa atubu ilayh.
wa atubu ilayh.
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
min kulli dhanbin
min kulli dhanbin
wa atubu ilayh.
wa atubu ilayh.
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
Astaghfirullah Rabbi
min kulli dhanbin
min kulli dhanbin
wa atubu ilayh.
wa atubu ilayh.
I beg pardon
I beg pardon
from Allah,
from Allah,
my Lord,
my Lord,
from all my sins,
from all my sins,
and turn to Him.
and turn to Him.
Rabbi inni
Rabbi inni
zalamtu nafsi
zalamtu nafsi
wa'taraftu
wa ta'araftu
bi dhanbi
bi dhanbi
faghfirli
faghfirli
dhunubi
dhunubi
fa innahu
fa innahu
la yaghfiru dhunuba illa anta.
illa anta.
O my Lord,
O my Lord,
my Allah,
my Allah,
I have wronged my soul
I have wronged my soul
and confess all my sins.
and confess all my sins.
Pray forgive me my sins,
Pray forgive me my sins,
for there is none else
for there is none else
except Thee to forgive.
except Thee to forgive.
Ameen.
Amen.
Could you please join me in the silent prayer dua for these two young who just joined, and we have two more sitting over here. They're planning to also be a part of our Jamaat, and may Allah keep us all safe, and may Allah keep us on the path of righteousness. Dua. Amen. Allahumma ameen. We welcome you in Mayor McNeil and our sister Raymond in our Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat and their Muslim family. You are most welcome, and I hope and pray that the path of the journey to Islam is going to be as successful for both of you. Ameen. Now I request of Qadam to wrap up, and we'll have our Zohar and Asr prayer, and we'll go for the lunch.
ये आपके भी हैं। ओ कहाँ है फौजान? उसको नहीं लाए? You get another one? I'll take another one.
यार तुम हमेशा बुरी तरह से देखते हो अपने बीवी बच्चों का ख्याल करो भाई के बच्चों का ख्याल करो
It's an acquired taste, that's why.